What's going on, guys? CrustyKs here from the Gold Boys Network, coming to you to talk about this college basketball Super Tuesday slate. We got another great one on our hands. We got 5 games to talk about. Let's jump right into it. So first one here, Kentucky traveling to Ole Miss. Both teams coming off a loss. Kentucky coming off a really bad loss at home to Arkansas. That was the Calipari return game. And Ole Miss coming off a loss to Auburn, which, I mean, it's Auburn. Kind of expected it. For me here, though, I like Ole Miss in the spot, minus 3.5. What it comes down to for me ultimately is both these defenses. They do struggle against the three. Ole Miss, not really. I won't say they struggle, but they're not bad. They're about average in the conference. When you look at Kentucky, they're the worst defense in the SEC. I believe the worst opponent effective field goal percentage, and just worst in terms of defensive efficiency. So on the road here, I just think this is a really tough spot for Kentucky. Even off a loss, like I said, you got both teams off a loss. I like Ole Miss here. I like Ole Miss minus 3.5. I think they win this thing probably by 10 plus, truthfully. I don't think Kentucky gets right till they head back home, if we're going to be honest. Moving on to our next one here, Purdue taking on Iowa. Purdue laying 7.5 points on the road. There's a big news out of Iowa. Owen Freeman done for the year. So obviously that's significant. That's their big. I mean, they honestly aren't good at the rim. Regardless, but him being out obviously makes them worse. You look at Purdue here, you look at Iowa. Iowa obviously disappointing this season. They are at home, which I think a lot of people might want to back them. But for a team that already struggles at the rim, now you lost your big, and really your only big in my opinion. I just don't see how they consistently stop Purdue. So for me here, Purdue minus 7.5. I think that it's the way. Like I said, I don't really love laying these kind of numbers on the road, but in this particular spot, I just have a hard time seeing Iowa keeping in this game. Even if they're hitting some shots, I just think Purdue's going to be able to shoot at a high percentage, get whatever they want at the basket, and ultimately it's going to be an issue for Iowa, who, while they do shoot a lot of threes, can obviously go on scoring droughts where you're shooting a shot like a three that has a lot more variance. So look for Purdue here, minus 7.5. The next one we're going to talk about, Oklahoma State taking on Houston. Houston off a loss. Not very often you get to say that. So obviously I want to get involved. This is a weird spot because Emmanuel Sharp's out. I want to say Juwan Roberts is questionable. But they're laying 22.5 here versus Oklahoma State, which is a huge number. Especially when you consider the first time they played at Oklahoma State, Houston was laying 11.5. So this is an 11-point swing. Very significant. You don't really see that ever, truthfully. I mean, typically for home court, we're talking like 5 or 6 points. This thing is 11-point swing. So I think that's pretty telling. I like Oklahoma State's team total under. I believe it's at 55.5. Oklahoma State team total under 55.5. This is a disgusting play. But I think it goes under. I think this game ends up being like 80-50. I would like Houston minus 22.5 as well. Like I said, the fact they have injuries and this number is still as fat as it is pretty telling in my opinion. I think it's an absolute Houston strap fest. Houston by a lot. Next we're going to talk about here. This is an interesting one too. Georgia Tech taking on Clemson. Clemson laying 13.5 points. So initially when I looked at this game, I saw Georgia Tech off an outright win over Louisville, and it kind of sparked my interest because I thought this number was relatively large. But then when I started looking at it more, 13.5 made sense to me. And actually, with Terry being back for Georgia Tech, I like Tech plus the 13.5 here. It's a weird spot. It's a very weird scheduling spot for Clemson because they play Duke on, I believe, Saturday. So a definite look ahead spot here. And Georgia Tech, when they are healthy, they can score. Defensively, they're not very good, but they can definitely put ball in basket. And I think Clemson, you kind of catch them in a sleepy spot potentially. I think 13.5 is just a few too many points. So I will take GT plus the 13.5. Look for Terry and Javion McCollum to carry this team and keep this one uncomfortably close, if you will. The last one we're going to talk about here, this is one of those ones that's really just a spot play for me. The matchup makes sense too, but it's a spot. I can't ignore it. So Arizona State taking on Kansas State. Kansas State coming off a double-digit win over Iowa State on the road as a double-digit dog. You have to fade them in this spot. Arizona State's a team that's big, physical on the inside the paint. I think they can kind of have their way against Kansas State, who while they have Coleman Hawkins and I believe it's Nagusson, I probably butchered that, but you know who I'm talking about. These are two bigs who aren't that physical in my opinion. And so you look at Arizona State with Quaintance, and I think he can kind of just impose his will on the inside. This game to me probably kind of gross, kind of grimy. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes under. But I like Arizona State here at the -1.5, or even on the money line. I believe it's -130 right now. So either one of those, I like it. I'd probably play this to like comfortably like -3. I think playing this up to a full possession is the right move here. So there's the 5 games I want to talk about. Sorry, I've been super inconsistent. I won't make any promises about being consistent because I'm just having some, issues right now. But as always, you can get all my official plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, don't worry, Hunter Gambler. Thank you, guys.